everyone, so the video that you're about to watch was filmed at the end of September, middle of September, somewhere around there, and it was meant to go up at the start of October, but unfortunately that didn't happen because of the situation with my dog. I will include an update on her down in the description below. As I've been doing, I've been trying to give all of you little updates on her, but I'm telling you right now that this video was filmed in the past because there are some dates that are going to be like, oh, you're talking about a book that's coming out on like the 18th of October, that's already out. You're talking about a book that I know for a fact you read already, you're talking about wanting to read it. Like, yeah. My dates are a little messed up since this video is going up so much later, but I still hope that all of you enjoyed this video, and I'm sorry that my filming schedule has been weird. It's just been a hard time with my dog. Go give your pet a hug for me, and I hope all of you stick around to watch this video. Light colored shirts really mess up the lighting on my face when I'm filming. Anyways, hi everyone, my name is Shauna, in case you don't know, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be doing the end of the year book tag. I don't have the creator currently listed on my little note sheet with all the questions, but if I can find the creator, I'll link them down in the description below. So this tag is just some questions looking forward to the end of the year. I always mess up the timing of this tag, so I've not really done this tag before. I think I filmed it before but just didn't upload it because I realized I filmed it at the wrong time. You're supposed to film it like September or October, and I'm filming it in September. It's gonna be uploaded in October, so I'm sort of doing it right this year. The first question for this tag is, are there any books you started this year that you need to finish? I mean, yes and no. So I know that this question is probably about books that you started that you keep putting on hold and stuff, but I'm just gonna talk about the book that I'm currently reading because I don't really put books on hold. I've recently started this thing where I like to try and finish all the books that I'm reading by the end of the year so that I don't have a book that's gonna be read between 2021 to 2022. So by the end of the year, just start reading graphic novels to fill in the space until the end of the year so that I don't have a book that carries over to the next year. So basically, whatever book I'm currently reading is the book that I started that I want to finish by the end of the year. The book I'm currently reading, which I'm sure I'll be finished with by the time that I upload this video, is A Letter to Three Witches. This is by Elizabeth Bass or Bass. This is a book that I had really high hopes for. I won it in a Goodreads giveaway, and I love the cover of this book, but I'm just feeling really disappointed by this book so far. I'm about halfway or almost halfway, so there's still a chance that this book could surprise me and get better. This book is basically about these cousins who are witches, and there is this fourth witch who is a distant relation that was adopted into the main gal Gwen's family, and this gal, Tanith, the distant relation, she likes to stir up drama, so she sent a letter to her three witches that are her cousins, well, distant relations, so technically her adopted cousins even though they're faintly related, and she sends this letter to stir up drama saying that she's going to move to New York with one of their partners. Now, all of these witches aren't allowed to practice magic because they had a distant relative who unfortunately created the Dust Bowl essentially, so they're banned from practicing magic. But this letter really stirs some things up in them, and some things start to go a little haywire. Their magic starts flaring up. It sounds so interesting, but it's just so dull and boring, and I literally almost fall asleep every time I pick it up to read more. So yeah, I don't know if this is gonna get any better because so far it seems really boring. And I feel so bad because the plot makes it sound so interesting. And it says that it's gonna be a rom-com, at least on Goodreads it says that. There's barely any romance in here. Yeah, I'm just a little frustrated with this book, but this is one that I'm hoping to finish by the end of the year that I've already started. Next up, do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? Well, I read Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. It's back there on my bookshelf. I'm too lazy to go get it right now. And that was sort of my transition to the end of the year. Harry Potter books to me are always very autumnal books, so witchy books always give me autumn feels, and Harry Potter is just something, I mean, it's perfect for every season, but I feel it's especially perfect for the fall seasons. So I used Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix this year to transition me into the end of the year. Next up, is there any new release you're still waiting for? Yeah, there's a few. So I pulled up different tabs on my computer, which is to the side of where my phone's sitting, because I wanted to get the dates of publications right for all these. So first up, Blood Marked by Tracy Deonn. This is the second book in the Legendborn series. I read Legendborn earlier this year and it was so good, and so I'm really looking forward to the sequel, Blood Marked. This comes out on November 8th. Legendborn is a world with like magic, and it has to do with like the King Arthur legend, but there's also like some generational trauma that's in there too that's really deep and interesting. So I really enjoyed this series, and I cannot wait for the sequel, although I think that the main character Bree is gonna end up with the person in the love triangle that I don't want her to end up with. Another one that I'm really looking forward to is one, unfortunately, by problematic authors. I'm probably gonna like find an organization to donate to that like supports people who are victims of sexual harassment and sexual violence, because this author, you know. Anyways, this book is The Maze Cutter. This book comes out on October 1st, so this one might be out, probably will be out by the time that this video gets uploaded. The Maze Cutter is set in the Maze Runner universe, but it's taking place 73 years after the Death Cure, and I know that Fry Pan's gonna be in there, because in the description it says, "Tall Tales from Old Man Fry Pan." So I'm very interested to see how this one plays out. I'm not a huge fan of this author's writing style, but I have a severe attachment to the Maze Runner series, okay? So I'm gonna read everything in this series, but I low-key wish that the author would stop writing more in this series since he is problematic and I want to stop giving him money, but at the same time I'm like obsessed with Maze Runner. Oh, I'm so torn, but I am gonna be reading The Maze Cutter, and I do have it pre-ordered, but I am going to be making sure to donate to an organization that works to support the community that the author has harmed. Another one I'm looking forward to is coming out on October 18th, and this is Beyond the Wand, The Magic and Mayhem of Growing Up a Wizard. This is Tom Felton's like memoir, and I'm really interested in this one. I really like Tom Felton, and I've met him before. He's such a nice guy, and I'm very interested to see what his experience with the Harry Potter set and like other movie sets was like. And then another one that I'm looking forward to is coming out on November 8th, and this is Whiteout. This is by Danielle Clayton, Tiffany D. Jackson, Nick Stone, Andy Thomas, Ashley Woodfolk, and Nicola Yoon. I'm reading this one mostly for Nicola Yoon. Whiteout is sort of a similar concept as Blackout, if you've read that one. It's by the same authors. So Blackout is all these romances that take place when there is a big blackout in the city, but Whiteout is when there's a whiteout, so like a snowstorm basically, and love stories that happen from there. So it's like a collection of love stories. I'm interested in this one. I wasn't a huge fan of like every single short story in Blackout, but that's the way it works with different like collections of stories. You aren't gonna like every single story in there. So I'm hoping that this one is good. I'm hoping that it's as good, if not better, than Blackout, and I'm particularly looking forward to a Nicole Yoon's story in this collection. And then the final one that I'm really looking forward to that I have pre-ordered as well is Madly Deeply, The Diaries of Alan Rickman. So this comes out on October 18th, and basically Alan Rickman kept a bunch of diaries while he was filming, and this book is putting different diary entries together. I am a little anxious about this one. I mean, I'm really looking forward to it because I love Alan Rickman, but I'm also anxious because this is coming out in the midst of the author of Harry Potter, who he was in that movie series, being an absolute turf. So I feel like this book, since it takes place like when he was still alive, which was before the author started to become a big turf, it's probably gonna have lots of passages praising the turf. So I'm a little worried about that, but I'm hoping that it's still enjoyable despite that. One thing that I've been thinking about a lot recently is like, what would Alan Rickman think of the author if he was still alive? Because I feel like he was just a gentle, kind-hearted soul, so I feel like he would be supporting trans people instead of supporting the author. So I don't know, like we won't know because he is no longer alive. I just sort of wish that this book would have been published before the author started being a massive turf, because now it like feels weird, it feels like bad timing. And I wish Alan Rickman was alive today for many reasons, but also because I feel like he would be a vocal supporter of trans people. But that's just the vibes that I get off of him, okay? Other people might think differently. Next up, what are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? So I'm actually gonna say 5 books, okay? So I'm rereading the Harry Potter series, so I gotta finish that. I have Half-Blood Prince, Deathly Hallows, and Curse of Child to reread. And Curse of Child is gonna be super easy to reread. I can read it in just like 2 or 3 hours. The other 2 are more thicker commitments, so it's gonna take longer to read them. But I'm enjoying my reread of the Harry Potter series, so I am so excited to read more, although I'm probably gonna be emotionally destroyed by Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows because that one always emotionally destroys me. And then I want to read the book Dorothy in the Land of Monsters. This is the final NetGalley arc that I have to read, and then I'm gonna go on a requesting spree. I've been like trying to tell myself, do not request any more NetGalley books until you read all of the ones that you currently are behind on. So Dorothy in the Land of Monsters is the final one that I need to get caught up on. And then for like my third book, fifth book that I want to read by the end of the year. I just pulled one of the books off my shelf that's like a sequel that I want to read, so I'm hoping that I can read like more sequels because I want to finish series. So I just pulled this one off my shelf. This one's Shiloh Season by Phyllis Reynolds Naylor, and I read Shiloh a while ago and did not like it, so I want to read Shiloh Season just to get this off my shelf. I feel like I won't like it as well. The Shiloh series just involves so much animal abuse. So much. I don't like that much animal abuse in my books. But they're kids' books, so they shouldn't be that bad, right? It should probably not be as intense as the last book, right? Right? Maybe not. And the second to last question says, is there a book you think could still shock you and become your favorite book of the year? Yes and no. If we're not including rereads, yeah, I think there's a book that could shock me and become my favorite. But if we are including rereads, then probably not, because Goblet of Fire is my favorite book and I reread it this year. But I think Blood Marks could shock me and become my favorite book that isn't a reread this year, because I love Legendborn so much that I feel like Blood Marks could potentially be as good, if not better. And then the final question, it says, have you already started making reading plans for 2023? Yes. Which I feel like I shouldn't be making plans this early for multiple reasons, but also because sometimes when I like make too many plans I get in a reading slump. So I'm trying to be like careful and like be realistic with my reading plans for next year. Like when I'm setting myself goals, I'm not gonna do too many because I don't want to put myself in a reading slump. But yeah, I have thought ahead to 2023 in my reading, what that's gonna look like in 2023. It's gonna have similar goals as this year, but there's one goal that's changing drastically, which I'll let you know more about that at the end of the year or at the beginning of next year. So that was all for the end of the year book take. I'm so excited that I actually got to do this year, and that I'm gonna have it uploaded at the proper time, considering I feel like I always miss out on like the time when you're supposed to be doing the end of the year book tag. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to me if you haven't already. And until next time, goodbye.